This is the video by someone called Real Life Fake Wizard, and the title is "The Culture War is Over. You Lost." Oh, it's over? Thank God. Thank God it's over. Because holy shit, was I tired of this. Holy shit, was I tired of this. Oh no, not that guy. Is this a known quantity? I've never watched this person before. Well, let's see.
Hello, I'm the Real Life Fake Wizard. For the last decade and some change, the internet has discussed and chronologized the battles of the culture war. Well, after all the releases of June 2026, I'm here to confidently tell you the war is over. Yes, the culture war is over. Do you know who won? No one. Humanity is lost. To give a brief introduction of this
I mean, I kind of agree with that so far.
culture war, on one side, you find people who think a hero should adhere to the classical standards and beliefs of heroism that have been found throughout all of human history.
Oh, never mind. I can see where this is going. I can see where this is going. I can see where this is going. Traditional archetypes, masculine archetypes, and not like woke shit, right? Am I right?
That a story is supposed to mean something, and that you don't hand children, the next generation of humanity, protagonists that embody cowardly, weak, and or selfish ideals. The motivation of this camp of people is preservation of the values of the past. On the other side, you'll find institutions and people inside of them who look at the exact same stories and see a list of things that must be fixed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Again, so I'm right. It's woke. We're never leaving woke. The culture, he lied. He lied when he said the culture war was over, because this is very clearly classical things when people were in traditional roles, when there was white dudes being white dudes and men being men, and everyone knew their place was cool. And now things are woke, and that's bad.
Too simple, too narrow, built by and for people who don't look like the whole room. And they believe that to change and destroy the past is to make it better. And they mean it too. This camp is not interested in preservation at all. They will revise a story until it's less of a story at all and more of a delivery system for whatever message they've decided it's important for you and the next generation of listeners.
So I know I'm pausing a lot, but that's what I do. But did we not see the immediate contradiction that he just did here? He just said how movies in the past. He said this, right? This is what he said.
You find people who think a hero should adhere to the classical standards and beliefs of heroism that have been found throughout all of human history. That a story is supposed to mean something, and that you don't hand children, the next generation of humanity, protagonists that embody cowardly, weak, and or selfish ideals.
So that right there is what we call a message, right? Morals, agendas, one might say. So his whole standpoint is old morals or old agendas he grew up with, good. New things for a new generation, bad. Right? Did I really just nail this in like 30 seconds?
At present day, but also this is a battle that has no end in sight. There is never going to be a definitive winner for reasons we'll discuss shortly, but further and more importantly, there is no winner because there is nothing worth battling over anymore. Every single major property, story, hero figure, every IP, every motivation, every possible plot point, everything has been defanged, declawed, neutered, tortured, and executed. And I know that sounds awful, and Wizard, you're blackpilling, but what I'm describing is that we stand upon the rubble of creativity. There is nothing left to fight for. And no matter how much you might dislike
That's
what
insane.
Hollywood and Wall Street produce, regardless of the camp you find yourself in, there is no denying that what we're fighting over now is crumbs. No matter how many hundreds of millions of dollars Hollywood and Wall Street lose catering to the institutions, another reboot will be made. Another sequel for another day. Another remake, reshoot, retelling meant to reestablish
Okay, see, here's the shit I hate though. This betrays a knowledge of film history. Throughout film, there have always been reboots and remakes. How many of you guys watched Brendan Fraser in The Mummy? Show of hands. Oh, wait. How many of you guys watched Brendan Fraser and the Mummy? Bum 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 bum. Okay, yes, right. You watched it. Remake. That was a remake from a serial. How many times have you guys watched like every film you've watched? Most likely, especially from the 80s, were remakes. You grew up on remakes. Hey, did you like watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle when you were a kid? Whatever how old you guys are. Guess what? That IP existed before you did. There's always remakes and remasters and retellings and remixes because there is nothing new under the sun. There is no new idea. We've had all the ideas, okay? What now we're doing is we're taking influences from the past and remixing it. And through that remix, you get to see the creator's input and how they envision, how they're inspired by it, and how they go for it, right? That's always been the interesting part. Star Wars is Buck Rogers, right? And a bunch of serials mixed together. As is Indiana Jones. Batman was was inspired by pulp comics. Every media has evolved over time, but all media reinvents itself. The Flintstones, the prehistoric Conan, a bunch of old cartoons were just reinterpretations of real life sitcoms. I mean, holy shit. The Seven Samurai, how many times has that been done over and over and over and over and over again? Magnificent Seven is a remake of Seven Samurais. Hell, The Office is just The Office, but in America. Yeah, and yeah, every story is just the monomyth, right? It's oh no, guess what, you guys? They're gonna have a call to adventure in this next movie. Apparently the mentor figure dies, thus sending the main character on a journey of self-discovery. Like, yeah, dude.
Relevance, restore reputations, and rehabilitate broken brands while reassuring shareholders that reinvention will restore recognition. Superman didn't do well at the box office. Supergirl is also not doing well.
So that's a lie. Superman made $825 million against a $200 million budget. Sorry, $624 million globally on a $225 million budget and finished as the top superhero film of the year. Sorry, not 800 million, 625 million. Like this is a success. By every metric, this is a success. What the fuck is he talking about? How are we lying this early?
At the box office. Man of Tomorrow will likely not do well at the box office, but there will be another one. There will always be another Super Someday. And whether or not James Gunn is at the helm, it doesn't matter. There will always be another and another. And with each other, the story, world, culture, character, moral, and message that the original creators intended is slowly and steadily washed away until...
Okay, also, for the most part, not true. You have to ignore the Zack Snyder films because Zack Snyder's entire filmography, his entire purpose is to take characters and he thinks he's deconstructing, but he says, what if we just make them violent and moody, right? What if we just make them violent and moody? That's Zack Snyder. But if you take that away, every version of Superman that isn't some evil Superman version, every mainstream version of Superman is the same character at its core. However, the world that they inhabit has always been reflective of the time it's being made in. Superman has always been contemporary. He's always been contemporary. Superman's not a character stuck in a time period that doesn't evolve. Superman evolves with the time. There was a time when Superman like fucking renounced America. Just like Captain America. There was a time when Superman was just truth, justice, and like the human way instead of the American way. Like there was a time when Superman had a fucking mullet. Like Superman is contemporary. Superheroes are contemporary because even though the morals they stand for are consistent, how that's challenged and interpreted changes. Back in the day, stopping a bank robber meant you were good. Nowadays, not only are you stopping a bank robbery, but maybe you might address the root cause of what's happening. Why is he robbing a bank? Right? The Superman in 2025 is literally the Silver Age Superman to the point where he doesn't even swear. Like, that's if there's any movie to pick to highlight his point, he picked the worst one. Go watch Superman 2025. David Corn says Superman is so wholesome and full of optimism that he doesn't even swear. He saves a squirrel. Like, I don't I don't understand
Well,
this.
Superman is not even Superman at all. He's just Super Fella now. A guy who happens to be super. And I hope I'm being clear that Superman is just an example of an infinite pattern. Replace Superman with any character or story you can think of, and it fits the same sad outcome. And so, well,
no.
Why then? Why keep doing this? Why all the do-overs? And the constant fighting, too. Like, why engage in a culture war willingly?
I'm so
Especially
lost.
to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars lost. Well,
Wait. Holy shit. Is he saying that movies are engaging in a culture war? Is he saying that there's only like one movie currently engaged in a culture war, and that's Citizen Vigilante. But is he saying that like Hollywood's engaged in a culture war, and that's why they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars? Because that makes zero sense.
Actually, you'd be asking all the wrong questions. You would be assuming any of this is being made for you. And it's not. Yeah, Superman is not for you. It's not for me either. We might be the customers with the wallets, but we're not the target audience. There is no culture war over your childhood, but there is a culture war over your children.
What?
Okay, so if the culture war on the surface is fought over what two camps of people envision as human values, well, deeper than that, the
Wait, you guys, I have watched Andy Pants videos. I've seen Asmongold clips. I've seen Wagner Knows Why. I've seen Endymion. I've seen December. I've seen Vera. I've seen Nerdrotic. I've seen Critical Drinker. I've seen them all. I've seen them all. And I have never been as confused in these past 40, not even 40. See, that's how confused I am. These past 4 minutes and 32 seconds. I have never been more confused. What? And it was also confusing is there's clearly some effort put into at least like the production of this, but the substance of it is insane.
Foundational core is actually what we pour into the next generation, whether people want to admit it or not. Well then, the best place for us to start with this discussion, I think, is with a brief observation of the most recent pieces of media. June 26th, 2026 saw the release of the second film in James Gunn's DC superhero universe.
Have I seen Mahler has a film? Oh, Christ.
Supergirl. The team who made this movie went on the record before it came out and called protagonist Kara Zor-El an anti-hero. The director said it. James Gunn confirmed it. The lead actress Millie Alcock said she hopes young girls walk away after seeing the film knowing it's okay to be, and I'm quoting her here, a bit bad and a bit messy. This film was marketed and positioned as empowerment for women, but also children, both little boys and little girls. Yet it sees Supergirl as a belligerent drunk and not actually being the anti-hero they claim she would be, despite that being a whole separate issue because Supergirl is not an anti-hero. Nah, see, it's worse than that. Millie Alcock's Supergirl is positioned as a hero in the film, and she's told that she needs to be good. Be good is a repeated phrase by multiple characters, and yet the film...
Did he watch the movie?
...film does not actually uphold or embody the very definition it uses for being good. And they don't embody what being good means, because the uncomfortable truth is modern Hollywood doesn't believe in good or evil. Not anymore.
Is he not talking about the movie?
This is a very serious position of argument.
Wait, what? You can't do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't just say modern Hollywood doesn't believe in good, A, when Superman came out last year, but B, the theme of this movie was, yeah, it's okay to be messy and still do good. Supergirl was messy because she had PTSD because she saw her fucking people die in front of her and then was sent to a different planet where she knew nobody. And the one person she's supposed to take care of is a grown ass adult. So, like, she's trying to find her place in the world and she's 23. But the messaging here is even if you're messy and you don't know what to do, just do good. Like, the good that she was doing is when Supergirl was preventing Ruthie from killing the bad guy. That was the good she was doing. I'm not going to guarantee spoilers, but that was her being good, her taking care of this child, her rescuing these other people, putting herself in situations where in the first scene in the movie, she's in the red sun and she still fights this guy in order to get something back for Ruthie. Like, did you not watch this movie at all? Was it that hard to comprehend? How is she not doing good?
In the culture war, there is no good, there is no evil. Everything is now a kind of dangerous, sticky, morally gray. Nobody is really a hero, and anyone who strives to embody the classic virtues of heroism is a punchline.
Spider-Man's a hero. Batman's a hero. Superman's a hero. Supergirl's a hero. I'm having a hard time coming up with Iron Man's a hero. Captain America's a hero. Winter Soldier's a hero. Even the movie The Thunderbolts, they were anti-heroes and then they became heroes. Like, where is your evidence that heroism is gone? People aren't evil. What's happening, see, the thing is too, is what these people fail to mention is they don't like complexity. Complexity is messy. They want black and white. They want to be like, this is the bad guy, he's bad. This is the good guy, he's good. And let's be real, sometimes I like that too. But if you're telling a deeper story, you can't just have like, I'm going to poison the water supply, Batman. Well, why? Why are you going to poison the water? Just because? Okay, is this a character study and now into Batman's character and how he has to fight his darker urges to just kill the Joker? Because that's also complexity. But what they want is super friends. He wants super friends. He wants Lex Luthor to be, I'm evil. Here's our League of Evil. We are the Injustice League and our Legion of Doom, and we're in a swamp. That's what he wants. Anything beyond that is, now there's no evil. No one's bad. No one's good. They're just shades of gray. And yeah, Supergirl did do an anti-hero thing because Supergirl's character has been reinvented so many times to make her more relevant because Supergirl comics have struggled tremendously.
A punching bag, laughed at and mocked, pissed on by the dog.
Okay, but again, you didn't watch Superman then. Like, he's trying to say that they don't respect heroes, but he's taking this shit out of context.
No. Classic morality is outdated and wrong. Superman sees the good in everyone, but I see the truth, is a quote from Supergirl in the movie. You see, goodness and the pursuit of goodness in one's real life are just bedtime stories you tell kids. The truth is for grown-ups, and the truth is that nobody's really good underneath. It's all just appetite and damage, and the mature thing is to quit pretending otherwise, which is...
So he didn't watch the movie. He didn't watch the movie. And also, even if you didn't watch the movie, this is the most obvious character arc of all time. Jaded individual meets a younger character and slowly becomes less jaded and reinvigorated. Like, what is this? What is this?
Ironic because while these writers think that they're able to extrapolate good and evil from their stories, replacing the heroes with Walter White derivatives of anti-hero, somehow they always leave in a little bit of pure, unadulterated evil. Supergirl is no different. Morally gray storytelling from Hollywood has become a belief system. Because once you decide nothing is really good and nobody is really a hero, writing gets easier. You never have to defend a standard because you don't have one. You never have to make a character earn anything because there's nothing left to earn.
What the fuck is he talking about? What is he talking about? What does any of this
He is
mean?
really a hero. Writing gets easier. You never have to defend a standard because you don't have one.
That's such a. The movie that he uses are obviously cherry picked, but this is the fucking Joker. Like, I could say how movies nowadays are too positive, and I could show you Toy Story. I could show you fucking Minions. I could show you Despicable Me. I could show you Superman. I could show you Batman. I could show you Spider-Man. You know, Spider-Man that's coming out in like a couple of weeks. You know, Spider-Man. Great power, great responsibility. Tom Holland Spider-Man. The guy who sacrificed people knowing who he was to do the good thing, the guy who lost his aunt in this version, but persists and follows through her with her command, who didn't kill anyone, who saves people at the cost of own personal, loss. Remember that Spider-Man? Who's been that Spider-Man every time you've seen Spider-Man on TV and in movies?
You never have to make a character earn anything because there's nothing left to earn. And never risk telling the audience something they don't want to hear. Because the entire creed of morally gray boils down to everybody's a little bad. So just relax. And that's funny because the people who tell you there's no.
But they don't do that. When people listen, in real life, yeah, there's lots of bad people. Sometimes good people do bad things, maybe for good reasons, but you know that saying, hell's paved with the, good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Like, that's a real thing. But also, in films, when there are people who are morally gray, they're almost never depicted as a positive force. Look at Daredevil and look at Punisher, right? Since he likes talking about superheroes, look at Daredevil and look at Punisher. Does Punisher go after bad guys? Yes, but he kills. So when Matt's there, he stops him from killing people. Matt gets tested all the time, but he always pulls back, except for that one time with Bullseye, but he's not perfect. But he pulls back. They're showing you, be like Matt, not Punisher. Be Spider-Man.
Such thing as good and bad are usually the people capable of doing the most bad. Okay, so that puts us in a position where we see what's being made today, right? Supergirl is just one of many remakes fitting the morally gray structure.
Supergirl's not a remake. What are you talking about? Supergirl's not a remake. It's not a remake. This isn't a remake of the 85 version, for damn sure. This is not a remake. This is a loose adaptation of Woman of Tomorrow, but it's not a remake. What?
But that puts us in a position where we need to roll it back and properly define what is goodness. Well, it's not a vibe. It's not a personality. Aristotle defined goodness around 340 BC as that which aligns with human flourishing, the pursuit of ultimate happiness, or the word he used, which was eudaimonia, living a life of purpose, meaning, and rational activity.
No, it says a contented state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous. That is not the same as living a life of purpose, nor is it the same as doing good for others. This is telling you to live a life that is prosperous and happy. But what a person defines as happy and prosperous could be vastly different from person to person, which might include some conflict. If I am a sociopath, or I'm a nihilist, I think all life is worthless, and I want to Thanos snap everyone away to make me happy, that would make me content. Remember when Thanos snapped away half the universe and he went to his farm and he fucked off to a farm and he was content and he rested while half the universe was dead? Would you say that is human flourishing? He was in a state of happiness and healthy and prosperous. He had a field of wonderful plants. Like,
in accordance with virtue rather than simply chasing temporary pleasure. Conversely, evil, as noted later by Augustine and then Aquinas, is not necessarily an opposing force, at least not always. Evil is more of a deficiency or separation from goodness. which means for you to be good requires.
That's also a bad what? So evil is not clearly defined, it's just a separation of goodness. So then would that mean evil is when you're not in a state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous? So if I'm like fucking poor and homeless, am I evil now?
Force, at least not always. Evil is more of a deficiency or separation from goodness, which means for you to be good requires active participation, choosing to do the right thing despite how hard it might be. And so that leads us to courage.
That doesn't even track with his own definition. Nothing here says that you need to actively do good or anything. That's not even his own definition that he's showcasing here.
Which means for you to be good requires active participation, choosing to do the right thing despite how hard it might be.
That's not at all what you said. And also, he's going to talk about courage. Courage is just the ability to do things in the face of fear. But you could be courageous and murder somebody, right? Because he's trying to affix morals to people's actions. But that's very difficult to do. If I'm being courageous, okay, you know what, you guys? It's my first time breaking and entering to someone's home, but I'm going to get over my fear. I'm going to go into that house. I'm going to hit the back door. I'm going to bust it open, and I'm going to just clear the family out. I'm overcoming my fear. I'm being courageous. That is courage. What is the definition of courage? Let's just see what a function. Let's just see definition of courage. The mental and moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty, right? So if I'm being courageous, if I'm being brave by doing bad things, by this logic, I'm doing good.
And so that leads us to courage, right? You must actively be courageous in order to pursue goodness. It's not easy to do the right thing all the time. Being courageous is not the absence of fear, it's the choice to continue onward despite fear. Okay.
Yes. So now, next time when you guys break into someone's home and you're afraid of it, just remember you're doing good, because to be courageous is to be good. He's assigning his own interpretations to a definition, which he's allowed to have its own definition of goodness, but he can't then try to cite philosophers using their definition and then add his own twist to it. That's not what they said. Right? Because then you start to get into like deeper philosophy about utilitarianism, right? Or, like greater good, all that stuff, right? And I don't think this is the debate he wants to have.
Okay, so reframing, because this is a lot. One who pursues true goodness must pursue a life of purpose and meaning, and to accomplish that, you must be brave, all of which derives from the choices that you make. And those choices don't just mean action forward, they can also require restraint. See, cowards fail because they can't act, but brutes fail because they don't know when to stop. Someone who is pursuing goodness is standing.
Why does he kind of look like Matt Walsh? Am I the only one seeing it now? Am I the only one who sees it?
In the gap of that. They can inflict damage but choose not to instead. Well, that adds another layer to this. In order to pursue goodness, you must wrestle with the possibility of inflicting harm and or doing wrong. For example, a guard dog that bites everyone isn't good. A guard dog with no teeth isn't good either. The best guard dog is one that can tear the bad guy's arm off, but is capable of restraint.
But here, since we're getting philosophical, why are you assigning morals to a dog? Right? If the dog acts in its nature, it's neither good nor bad. It's acting in its nature. If a guard dog is trained to attack people, then it is still acting within its nature. The dog is not choosing to attack people. The dog is being taught whom to attack. And whoever you decide is bad, well, that raises another layer of morals, right? Because what makes them bad? Because by your standards, is them being divorced from evil? How does that present, right?
Having teeth is a requirement of being good. If you take their teeth away, or bringing it back to humans here, if you take away the ability to inflict harm, then there's nothing left to admire. You're just harmless, and if you're harmless, you cannot be all good, because as we said, to be good means you must actively choose to do the right thing. Those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. Goodness is not harmlessness. Goodness is power aimed...
He's been ranting about this shit for like 80 minutes, but this is nonsense. It's pseudo-intellectual nonsense. By this standard, okay, I'm 6'9", right? I'm 6'9", like 300. I'm cutting weight though, but I'm 6'9", 300. So I do have the capacity to inflict harm on people. So every time I just don't do that, am I good? Also, he's saying that someone who doesn't have the capacity who doesn't have the capacity to inflict harm is harmless, therefore they're not courageous or brave. But how can you dictate who has the capacity? What if I'm in a wheelchair? Am I harmless now? What if I have a gun hidden behind me? Am I still harmless? Or am I being brave by not blowing you away?
Controlled. And do you know one of the greatest characters in the last 100 years of fiction to exhibit these values of goodness happens to be none other than Superman himself. Yes, and I think it's best we take it back to 1938 with the invention of the character. Action Comics, dreamed up by two Jewish teenagers out of Cleveland, saw Superman as, quote, a champion of the oppressed. So that's our mission statement. Superman must be strong enough to fight oppression and also a champion of the people, as something worth looking up to or aspiring to be. Superman isn't good because he's strong. He's the strongest there is, and that's exactly why his goodness counts.
God, this is something I think Matt Walsh said, like legitimately.
This man could take the whole planet in an afternoon, and instead, he puts on a pair of glasses and works a job like a regular guy because he sees this planet as his home. It's a place worth...
Anyway, I'm 6'9", I mean 6'5" or 6'4". Why would I be 6'5" or 6'4" and say I'm 6'9"? I would just say I'm 6'5". That's still tall.
Fighting for, which means he chooses restraint every single day. And why? Why choose restraint? Why choose to become Clark Kent? Well, because he was raised by two people in Kansas who taught him the values of being good and, more so, being kind, which also means that parents, or really parents...
See, he has it backwards, though. Superman doesn't become Clark Kent. Clark Kent becomes Superman. And I know this sounds like being pedantic, but that's an important distinction here, right? We have seen people in comics and TV shows, whatever, with great power who are not responsible, right? Superman's entire thing is he has amazing power, obviously, yes, but he was raised human. Superman is human in terms, not biologically, right, but in terms of his upbringing. He's raised by humans to respect human life, right? He was raised by good people. But we've also seen what happens when he's raised by Russians. When, you know, we've seen Superman Red Sun, right? So this isn't something inherent to Superman. This is inherent to Clark Kent. Clark Kent is good, but Superman is whomever raises him.
Figures have that kind of impact on the next generation, you see? Our moral argument here is that the culture war is not just about what's here to entertain you and I, but what kind of beliefs and ideals we leave behind. For decades, writers have done versions of Superman where his ship lands in different places on Earth. What
yes,
if
my
Superman
point, right?
landed in Soviet Russia? What if he lands in medieval England or rural England? What if he's raised by the Wayne family and he becomes Batman? What if the US government gets him and locks him underground his whole life? See, every what if puts Superman in a position where his morals and ideals are all bent by the circumstances he's raised inside of. Take the Kent family away from Kal-El, and he isn't raised to be Clark Kent, which means he isn't raised with love for humanity, which means he's far less inclined to show restraint when he uses his powers, because nobody ever showed him a reason worth restraining himself for. Same baby, same ship, same impossible strength, but you landed in a place that doesn't believe in goodness, and that child will have a much harder time learning about and finding.
Okay, it's also crazy to say that he lands in a place that doesn't believe in goodness. God, now we're getting a little bit bigger here, right? But there are personal morals, then there's cultural morals, right? If I land, if let's say I'm Superman and I landed in Russia and I have Superman Red Sun, right? I am doing good for my people and my country, right? I was raised in this environment. I am doing good. I'm keeping my people safe. I'm keeping the order. I'm doing good. Now, does that look does good look the same to everyone? No. Which is the point I think he's not really making here. It's relative. It's relative. If I go to a store, I have no money, I'm starving, and then I steal some food. I'm trying to protect myself. I'm trying to give myself a chance to fight, right? Did I do something bad? Sure, but I needed to eat. What if I see someone who is homeless and I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry, but you seem to be worse off than me. I stole this bread, but here, eat this bread. I did something bad and I also did something good. I did something good for someone. I gave them food, but I stole it. So does that like wash away? Am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Am I a neutral person? Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's so much more to this than just do good, do bad. There's a literal whole philosophical study of this kind of stuff.
Goodness. And the sad part is that all of these Superman what ifs that we just discussed aren't hypotheticals. We are doing an experiment with it right now, on purpose, with every child alive in the West. Because children don't only learn what's good from their mom and dad, they learn from stories we hand them, from movies they watch, from games they play, from other children, from their educators, and from their extended families. Yes, children are a combination of all these things, but what happens to a generation when every story they're handed has decided that goodness and being good was a lie all along?
That's not happening though. Kids aren't watching Superman Red Sun. Kids aren't watching these deconstructions of Superman. They're not watching some kids are, but they're not watching like The Boys. Like they're not like this is not happening. This is just not happening. You're seeing the Matt Walsh here too, right? It's not just me.
What happens when kids aren't raised with Superman and they only get Super Fella? Well, you already know the answer. You raise a whole generation of Kal-Els who never got Kansas. So what exactly is Hollywood replacing Aristotle's eudaimonia with? Morally gray storytelling. Everything is morally gray. Everyone is compromised. And sure, morally gray storytelling can be engaging at times. Most people point to Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, as stories that are compelling as a means of being a North Star. Walter White is one of the most interesting characters of the century. Therefore, everything should mirror Walter White. Isn't that right, Rings of Power? When used correctly, gray storytelling still
I feel like he just doesn't like
is real,
stories.
And it shows you the good with some pieces taken out. But Hollywood treats morally gray as a philosophy. It's less of a tool to elevate goodness and more like a religion, a belief system. As a belief, morally
no one's doing this. No, he just keeps saying Hollywood, 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 Hollywood. And then he just talks about 2 movies. Where are your actual examples? Notice how he actually doesn't show examples of what he's talking about to highlight his point. He's just showing random B-roll footage and expecting you to just believe him.
Moves all definitions. See, earlier we spent time defining good and evil, that to pursue goodness requires active participation. Well, if everything is morally gray, then there is no goodness. Nobody is actually good and nobody is actually evil. People just do things. Some of them do nice things, some of them do terrible things, but it all runs on one engine underneath, and that is, what did I want right then in that exact moment? It's a reductionist view of human beings, man. That everything we do is built on inherent desires and selfishness. We do as we want, because we can. Everything is preference and appetite. And as we said,
but that's how humans are. What? Okay, so you don't understand human behavior. Just say that. Just say you don't understand human behaviors. Human beings are creatures of habit. We have been reinforced through our lives to act in accordance to certain rules and customs in order to have the most preferable outcomes for ourselves. That is why people, by and large, do not commit crimes. Criminals make up a very small portion of society, and then even then, crimes vary from state to state, country to country, culture to culture, because it's a crime against a society and whatever they feel is to be too much in their society. For example, right? If I go to let's just say a super like hardcore Islamic country, and I walk around shirtless, that could be a crime there. That's not a crime here. I'm not saying walking around shirtless in Islam is a crime, just using an example. But like that could be a crime there, not here. I was not reinforced in that society. I'm reinforced in American society where that's legal, right? That doesn't make me a bad person. But I don't speed, right? Or if you're speeding, you see a cop, you slow down. We have so many things that we've learned through either incidental learning or overtly being taught something that's shaped our worldview. People aren't just good, people aren't just bad. Everyone has the capacity to do good or evil, like I mentioned before, because a lot of it's depending on context, situation, location. If you've ever stolen something, if you ever pirated something, even watched something that was stolen or pirated, or participated in something like making fun of someone or bullying, you've done bad things. There's obviously scales to it, but you've done bad things. Does that make you bad? Like, yes, people are. In fact, I'm steelmanning his point. Because people have the capacity to do good and evil, those of us who choose to do good, right, would be, by his definition, courageous. And those who choose to be evil. But it's a choice. He's going from making it a choice to making it just something it is. Like this is what's happening here.
Is built on inherent desires and selfishness. We do as we want because we can.
Yes. So I can choose to be a nice person. I can choose to be kind. I can choose to not insult you, which I haven't done so far. I can choose to do all those things. Or I can say, you look like if Matt Walsh got into cosplay, right? I could choose to say and do those things also. We have free will that comes with choice. And human beings are selfish. That selfishness could still present in a way that's beneficial to everyone else. I can like helping people because it makes me feel good. That is a selfish reason. But I'm helping people. But that's selfish. And maybe you're altruistic. But either way, we have the capacity. That's what makes us human.
Everything is preference and appetite. And as we said before, if nothing is really good and there aren't really heroes, then there is no standard to defend because you have no standards. There is nothing to earn, nothing really to overcome, because nobody set a bar anywhere for anyone to clear. Nobody has to be brave, since bravery was just a preference too. There's no hard right and no easy wrong. There's only the easy thing and the slightly less easy thing.
That makes no sense.
Picking one over the other isn't a victory, it's just a mood. And what's interesting inside of this morally gray belief is how everyone points to Walter White as being a morally gray character. No, he's a villain. He's a bad guy. So is Tony Soprano. In Game of Thrones, almost everyone is villainous, and we find all of them interesting because bad people are interesting. A great villain is one of the best things a story can put in front of you. It just so happens that all of these stories have villains as the protagonists.
Oh boy. All right. So that was a lot going on, but no, you're completely wrong about this, my guy. There's a difference between a protagonist and a villain, right? A protagonist is simply who you follow. Yes, Walter White is a bad guy in a world of bad guys, but he also has nuance to him. He's not going around and poisoning the water supply. Yes, he's selling drugs, but he was doing drugs in order to, pay for his cancer treatments. And this particular show is talking about the corruption of Walter White and how that also spreads to other people, like a cancer. There's a little theme for you. Him doing illegal things in order to survive is what gives him that nuance. You see what kind of person he is. You see what kind of person he's becoming. That's what makes it interesting, right? And Game of Thrones, not everyone is evil in Game of Thrones. Jon Snow was explicitly not. He's one of the purest people on the show. Like, the people in power and the people seeking power become more and more and more morally great until they do straight up evil acts, like one character burning his daughter alive, right? Or engaging in lots of sexual assault, or forced fucking genital mutilation, or like etc. etc. But then you have the Starks. Ned Stark was such a good person that he ruined his name by taking in Jon Snow and saying he had an affair when he really didn't. He was such an honest person that literally got him killed. But at the end of the series, someone like Jon Snow, who was also an honest and good person, survived, came out ahead. Say what you will about the series and its consistency, but overall, there were good people. There were people who were kind of shitty and tried to get better, and you saw them get better. If anything, Game of Thrones, why am I helping you? Game of Thrones steelmans your point about the courage it takes to be good, especially in a world that doesn't reward it. Ned Stark was good and he got his head cut off. And also, bad things happen to bad people. It's a morally gray world, and people are still choosing to be good and be bad. And you see where those choices lead them. You see the situation they've been in that led to them becoming these characters. That's what makes it interesting. Again, you're just complaining about shit for adults, but then trying to say that this is going to affect children. Kids aren't watching Game of Thrones. Adults are, because adults should have the capacity to understand nuance and not try to emulate these people. Right? That's why it's rated TVMA. These films are rated R. These shows are for adults. And the stuff that's skewed for children have a simpler message. Superman 2025, he's holistically good, and Lex is comically evil.
There is no spectrum of grayness here. But look at what happens. If you take away good and evil from your story, then all that's left is bad guys. Let's go back to Supergirl, a film that dearly wants its protagonists to exist in a world that is morally gray, and yet the villain is anything but morally gray. Krem of the Brigands is a representation of pure internet fantasy evil. The only thing missing on this guy was a mustache that he could twirl. He has child brides in cages. He believes in eugenics. He's a bloodthirsty murderer, constantly seen on screen eating like an animal. So he's disgusting. He looks disgusting too. His men are also all disgusting. And there is no characterization, no depth, and no reason to.
I mean, yeah, honestly, this version of Kim sucked. A weak character. But I feel like this is not strengthening his point.
See him as anything other than a checklist of everything a chronically online person thinks that evil looks like. Every box is ticked, every atrocity stacked, until he's so irredeemably vile that the only moral response becomes to kill him. And that is like a tell in poker. A screenwriter who actually believed in the gray, who actually thought good and evil are childish concepts, wouldn't need to. She could write a complicated man, somebody whose actions you understand, even if you hate them, is similar to the way Walter White works.
Wasn't he just complaining about this, though? Wasn't he just was this not what he was just complaining about? He was just complaining about this, though. Now he wants it?
In the later seasons. Instead, she wrote a caricature of evil so pure and so ugly that you never have to sit with the weight of the choice of mercy. Supergirl tortures and then executes this man guilt-free. And here
he does not torture. What are you talking about? She doesn't torture him. She does not torture him. She doesn't torture him at all. And I mean, he already said it. Yeah, Supergirl kills him. But it's not some torture situation. She stabs him. The end. That's what they said she's the anti-hero, by the way, because she'll do the right thing no matter the cost, even if it's taking a life. That's what makes her the anti-hero in this version. That's something Superman, unless he was played by Henry Cavill, wouldn't do. So what is the point you're trying to make here?
Here's what that means. The writer doesn't believe there's no good and evil. No, she believes it deeply enough to demand you see evil when she points it out. She just doesn't believe in the good anymore. But these writers, well, they believe in evil plenty. Yeah, and it's a real.
What the fuck does that mean? Doesn't believe in the good? Did Kara not save a bunch of women from human traffickers? That's not a good deed. That's not good. That's not good. Also, this is the most contradictory shit I've seen. He spends half the video talking about how he's tired of people in Hollywood trying to humanize the villains, right? Morally gray, this, and that. And then he goes a complete 180 and goes, and that's why Supergirl didn't do those things. And it sucks because they don't believe in good, but they believe in evil. Well, if they're murdering the evil, what is that? If she's saving child brides, what is that? You want to talk about bravery? She went to a planet that had a green sun that could basically kill her. What are we talking about, dog? I don't think you watched the movie. And also, yes, she killed him so that Ruthie doesn't have to, right? So she didn't have to carry that weight. That's still a good thing she did for Ruthie. Like I talked about before, it's all about perspective. Like I don't like, would he been like if she didn't kill the human trafficker who was hell-bent on trafficking little girls, that would have been better to let him go? Let him go where? Like in the comic book, she at least put him like the Phantom Zone so he couldn't harm anyone else, but there's no Phantom Zone for her to use. So she would just let him be and would say, okay, bye, Ruthie. I hope this guy doesn't try to track you down and kill you eventually. Like what would that have been?
Really nasty problem now. These writers don't believe in goodness, so when they're assigned a character or characters that embody goodness, they do things to them to change how audiences perceive those heroes. Sometimes it's by making them the butt of every joke. Sometimes it's by deconstructing them. But overall, this is one that's really key because you already have emotional attachment.
Luke Skywalker became jaded, right, by the Jedi, and they're legit failures as a protective force. And then he did a heroic sacrifice. Like, what are we talking about? Like, does he not like story beats? Does he not like story beats? And also, to be like Superman was at the butt of every joke, as if Lex Luthor didn't get fucking ragdolled. A bunch of people were made fun of. Guy Gardner, like
sometimes it's by making them the butt of every joke. Sometimes
he wasn't the butt of every joke.
Them. But overall, this is one that's really key because you already have emotional attachments to those heroes from their past iterations. The changes that are being made in today's adaptations are not for you. They are to redefine how heroes are perceived by your children specifically.
Why do you keep talking about children so much? Most of the examples you used were for shit that kids don't even watch. He's only mentioned Supergirl and Superman. Literally every other example he's used has been The Joker, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. These are not for children because his argument doesn't hold water. So he has to do this weird mental gymnastics, make it seem like your kids are gonna watch The Sopranos, and they're gonna want to join the mafia. Like,
Masters of the Universe sees Adam as the absolute butt of every joke. Every moment that he starts to get agency, we see him pulled back down so the writers can say, no, you're He-Man. He-Man is stupid and embarrassing. We need to make sure the audience laughs at you and not with you.
Oh my God, this is the shit that these losers say because they attach their perception of masculinity to the media they consumed. So if they feel like in any instance He-Man is emasculated, it's them being emasculated. It's them saying that buff guys aren't wanted anymore. And then you watch the movie and he beats the shit out of Skeletor. So then what's the message there, dude? And yeah, dude, He-Man is called He-Man. It's a little bit stupid, but that's fine.
His companion and mentor, Man-at-Arms, is reduced to a toxic masculinity talking point. A belligerent drunk who confesses that his daughter is the soldier he wishes he could have been. Toy Story 5 tells 4 stories in one that all converge at the end. One of which is the story with Buzz and Woody as they chase after Jessie. Well, Woody, despite being the main protagonist of the series, has nothing to do here other than get mocked, made fun of, chewed on, and sidestepped the entire film.
Oh, so because that happens to Woody? Because that never happened to Woody in the other films? He's not the protagonist of the whole. It's an ensemble cast, dog. They add a new character every film. What is this? And do you think children's takeaway of this film is going to be, man, look at how they've emasculated Woody the cowboy? Because we all know cowboys represented the old way of masculinity, and now there's a girl. Do you think the children who watch this, that's the takeaway they're going to have? Or are they going to go, hey, I like Jessie. Cool, Jessie's the main character. I love Jessie. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Buzz, who spent the previous 4 movies being a brave leader for the toys, is a gender role swapped and reduced to being...
Wait, did he just repeat himself twice? This is some Andy Pants level of editing, dog.
Leader for the toys is a gender role swapped and reduced to being... a timid coward too afraid to propose to Jessie. So she has to do it for him. And when she kisses him, his leg pops like a swooning girl in a...
So this is where the mask just completely fell. This is where the Party City beard just comes off, right? He's mad because Buzz is acting like a girl. And it's not like a sight gag or anything like that. Oh no, because you guys, you have to understand something. Men can never be I can flip this so easily. Yeah, you guys, men can never be shy. Women can never be assertive. No. Girls have to always be damsels and can't be the focus, and they have to be proposed to. And they have to get the kiss. They can't make the kiss. And they have to swoon. Men, you can't do that. Also, men, you can't paint your nails. You can't do that. You're not a man anymore if you do that.
50s cartoon. And when they get married, it's Buzz who walks down the aisle. Isn't it funny? Aren't we laughing? It's just funny ha-has. The opening scene of Supergirl is Krypto the dog whizzing on a newspaper that has Superman's face on it, setting the tone that Superman is a joke. This is continued.
No, you moron. It's setting the tone that Krypto is a bad dog. He's not well trained. That's the tone it's setting. Also, if you're eagle-eyed, you notice how Superman is given all the attention and Kara is in the back because she rescued a cat, and she rescued a cat, and Superman saves time for nuclear reactor explosion. So this is the hero, right? This is a hero. Krypto, while being a bad dog, also has really good emotional intelligence. So he's on the same wavelength as how Supergirl feels. Notice how she's in his, literally in his shadow. She's smaller than him. So Krypto's like, all right, well, fuck you then. And also, if you watch the other movie, you would know that Krypto doesn't really like Clark that much.
That has Superman's face on it, setting the tone that Superman is a joke. This is continued with Superman's appearances in the film being uncharacteristically insecure, stumbling over his words, and being, again...
You're a fake... LARP. J'accuse. LARP. Superman uncharacteristically stumbling over his words? Yeah, because Clark Kent When he's talking to his friends or family, he's absolutely confident, doesn't stammer. They definitely didn't, make a whole film where he's a bumbling person, which isn't even really him pretending to be, and talks too much and oversays his stuff. And yeah, you're right. You're right. That's not Superman at all. You're totally right. You're totally right, dude. You're totally right. And also, this version of Superman is so goddamn sincere that he wants to make sure he's saying the right things to Kara so she doesn't feel like she needs to come back immediately, but he wants her to know that he still cares about her.
Mocked on screen by the writers who clearly have nothing but animosity towards the character. And so that brings us full circle and back to the top. I said earlier that the war is...
Also, by the way, did he just want to make a Supergirl video and was like too cowardly, which not a good trait, fake wizard. Too cowardly to just make a Supergirl video? Like, this just became about Supergirl.
Over. The reason for that is that regardless of the amount of money made or lost, these movies will keep getting produced.
That's a TV show.
Despite audiences begging for them to stop. And with each installment, less and less of what made the property great remains. And the reason to keep making installments is because it's not meant to capture you. You're not the customer. You already experienced real He-Man, real Buzz and Woody. You know the real Superman. You were there when the original stories were told. What is being made now is to give your children a different worldview than what you have today. And you may say, Wizard,
so stupid.
These are box office bombs. No one is seeing these. Yes, that's true. But they are getting lots of views on streaming. And so whereas you had Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Thundercats, Hercules, Tarzan, Frodo and Sam, kids today have no original to measure against. Firstly, because they look at original Star Wars and they say, ew, that looks old. That's my mom and dad's movies. That's grandpa's movies.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Yeah. You also did that when you were a kid. How many kids did you know when you were younger? How many kids did you know were watching like Buck Rogers? Huh? How many kids do you know were watching Kurosawa films? Or even Magnificent Seven? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Yes, dude. People born at a certain time period typically don't want to watch it from 30, 40 years ago. Because that's not the world they live in. Like, guess what? When I was a kid, public TV would show random stuff like Little House on the Prairie. I'm not watching Little House on the Prairie. I'm not watching the Andy Griffith Show. Because even if the themes or wholesome or whatever, it's presented in a way that I find to be impenetrable. It's lingo I don't use. It's dealing with issues that don't exist in this way anymore. Right? It's trying to make the world be a simpler place, and that's not. Good God, dude. What the fuck? Like, yeah. Like, if I assume he's around my age or younger, then the first Superman movie he watched was probably Christopher Reeves, but that wasn't even the original Superman. The original Superman came out in like the 1930s. I doubt he grew up watching those.
Everything has aged and kids are fickle, which means one side is coming to this culture war with a vulnerability, a hole in the armor. Stories of the past are bound to the past. And secondly, because what was made for the children of today is a feminized Buzz Lightyear. What's made for them is Superman getting mocked and belittled, and Woody getting mocked and belittled. He-Man is a joke. Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion in 2025 and saw Nani abandon the family for college. The aliens are bad guys. The whole found family arc of the original animated film has been destroyed in the remake.
Yeah, but that's just the film. That's specific to Lilo and Stitch. That is specific to Lilo and Stitch, dog.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest fantasy stories put to screen.
And you can still watch it.
Redemption arc is fantastic. Well,
and guess what? You can still watch Avatar. You can still watch Avatar. You still have everything he talked about, people still have access to. You can still watch Avatar. I've never watched a second of the live action. You can still watch the Avatar series and Avatar Core. In fact, my friend messaged me and said, "Should I watch Core?" And I said, "Yes."
Live action replacement, not remake, replacement from Netflix.
It's not a replacement. From Netflix, Avatar is literally on Netflix. You can literally watch it. You can literally watch this series on the same network you can watch the live action. How is that a replacement? You can watch Avatar on this. You can watch Avatar on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is releasing the Avatar animated movie July 25th. What are you talking about?
Undermines everything that made the original great at every single level. See, it's everything. It's everywhere. Not even Avatar from Nickelodeon could survive. Every story of every time is on the table, just waiting for a hope-devoid writer to get their grubby hands on it. And because the kids have nothing
Jesus
to
Christ.
compare against, they don't.
You have everything that he's talked about. Literally everything that he's talked about, the originals still exist. If you want to go watch Total Recall, you can watch both versions or you can read the book. If you want to watch Avatar, you can literally watch Avatar. You can actually, if you don't have Netflix, don't worry, because you can actually watch Avatar The Last Airbender on YouTube. You can watch the shitty live action movie on YouTube. There's literally a YouTube channel that you can just straight up watch it. Here, look, you can buy it through Paramount Plus. You can get it in a multitude of ways. There's also an Avatar Last Airbender YouTube channels that I'm aware of that you can watch on YouTube. Season 2 cartoon. It just sucks you have to say cartoon. But you could literally watch it. You can watch Avatar: The Last Airbender from the official Avatar: The Last Airbender channel. Like you can watch Avatar. You can watch Avatar on YouTube. Like he's just lying. He's lying.
Feel the downgrade because you can't miss a thing you never knew existed. The emasculated versions of heroes don't feel like deflation because they never saw the peak. For them, Superman getting pissed on by a dog is the baseline, and it runs deep.
No, the baseline would be his own movie. Like, why is he now pretending that Superman 2025 doesn't exist? What is this?
Deeper than any single character because they're not just setting a child's idea of Buzz Lightyear or Superman or Luke Skywalker or Aang. They're setting the child's idea of heroes, period. Now consider what we said in part 1. If goodness is
This
power
is so
aimed
stupid.
and
Oh
controlled,
my God.
then a hero is a dangerous thing that chooses mercy. If every hero a kid meets between ages 3 and 13 is an insecure, fumbling, bumbling, declawed idiot that must be apologized for, our hero quietly stops meaning the guy who learns to choose to be good. No, heroes are just jesters with superpowers, and at that point, all
Okay, see, here's the thing. His reading of all of this shit is just backwards. He takes small character moments, like bits of levity, and says, this is the entire character. We can play that game too. He was talking about Avatar, right? Let's just do. Let's just have. I'm sure there's some clips of Aang just being Aang, right? Let's just do Avatar Aang airbending. How about that? Let's see.
Aang, do some airbending.
Actually, I'm gonna mute it because I don't want to get fucking this thing clapped. I'm sure there's no moments of Aang being silly, because if he's being silly, then he's just a goofy goober. Oh, look, here's Aang. Oh, look, he just sneezed and whatever. Oh man, he must be a fucking idiot. He must not be a real hero. Oh, look, he's smiling and laughing. He must not be a real hero. Uh-oh, Zuko just fell. Look, he did a pratfall. He must not be a serious character. He must be a joke guy. Like, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. Uh-oh, they made a joke with Superman. He must not be funny. He must not be a serious guy. He must not be a real hero.
Emotional attachment and meaning is lost. You don't have to teach a child to sneer at heroism. You just have to make sure they never once see the real thing, and then they themselves will not have any heroes to compare their own lives to. Nothing for them to aim at. What do you get on the other end of where there are no heroes?
Okay, he's doing a Matt Walsh voice. I want you guys to understand this. He's doing Matt Walsh. I don't know why, but look, here's Matt Walsh. Just Matt Walsh, let's say kids. He talks about kids a lot. Like, just listen to Matt Walsh. Reviewing woke shows in Matt Walsh. All right, listen. Oh no, the birthright crisis. Listen to him. I'm gonna move this over here. We're gonna do a little back and forth. Listen to Matt Walsh.
About the decline in the birth rate and the rapidly increasing number of young adults who are refusing to get married and have children. As much as we discuss the subject, we still have not discussed it enough. It is one of the great crises facing our civilization at the present moment. When a society gives up on having children, it has given up on its future, it has given up on itself, and...
Okay, yeah. Now listen to this guy.
You get morally gray monsters. Augustine had a word for this 1600 years ago, and it's something we discussed before. Privation. Evil doesn't build. It doesn't need to. No, evil removes good and creates distance from good.
He's Matt Walsh. He's Matt Walsh.
Goodness. So whether or not any writer or Hollywood executive drew any of this on a whiteboard or planned for this to be the outcome, it doesn't matter. The outcome here is the same whether planned or not. A whole generation is getting its template for courage and good.
Okay, again, if he's trying to use the acolyte, Jesus Christ, it's obvious that her falling to the dark side is the bad outcome. That's the bad outcome, right? Her choosing to kill him in that moment, and she bleeds her saber and turns it red, is her choosing to be bad.
Goodness and what a man is even allowed to be from writers who think the entire concept of goodness is fraudulent. Be selfish, because if you could be selfish, or if we can indoctrinate your children to be selfish, it allows us to get away with being selfish, because the people to challenge the selfish aren't there to know that being selfish is...
So he thinks if he just says the same word over and over and over and over and over, he makes a point. But he's made no points here. The only thing he's proven is that he likes to talk a lot about literally nothing.
Antithetical to being good. Today's media is not being made for you. It is being made
for your
to
children.
Erase you. At this
What?
point, I know many of you might find that what we've discussed here today seems hopeless and black-pilled, and I know that because I read many of your comments. But I'd like to resolve our discussion here with a call to action. I said earlier that the culture war was over and that you lost, and it's because stories are being told today that dismantle the value of stories across all of human history. This is not going to stop. They
You
are
never
making
proved that
hundreds
point.
More, even right this very minute. It doesn't matter.
So what is your plan? Just don't watch movies? Just don't watch Superman? What is your plan?
If you personally are not seeing them, some people are. And if
Oh, well,
they're
shit. Some people are
normies,
saying it.
they're walking away thinking they have a grasp on who Supergirl is. They see Rings of Power and they think they understand Tolkien. They'll see the upcoming Narnia remake with a female Aslan the Lion that takes place in the era of rock and roll from Greta Gerwig and think they have a grasp on C.S. Lewis. It's never going to stop. So no.
This is so fucking stupid because even the original movies, you could say that about them. Just read the book. Just read the book. Just read the goddamn book if you're this mad, right? Just read the book. Just read the book. All of his points right here. Everything is that they think they have a grasp on it if they watch this, and if they're normies. Dog, if they're normies, they're not basing their entire morality or their understanding of source material on a film, because normies understand that this is an adaptation. This is based off of a book. They know, for example, that Greta Gerwig's version of The Chronicles of Narnia is not the book version of Chronicles of Narnia. And they will immediately get that when they see it set in the rock and roll period, right? Because they know C.S. Lewis wasn't alive when that period existed. Because that happened like decades after him.
We lost the war, but the truth is we were never going to win that fight. They're too powerful. They own too much. We've given too many chances and too many freebies. The war over the studios, over Hollywood, over movies and TV and entertainment, over who gets to hold the pen on Superman this year. That war was never winnable, and it was never the war that actually mattered. I told you at the very beginning, there is no culture war over you. There is a culture war over your children, and that war rages on. And that's one that you
okay, I don't have kids
win.
though.
And the fight is not out there. It's not in the comments section or the box office. It's in your house with your own kids. It's with your families, your nieces and nephews, your friends, your communities. We spent this whole video proving one thing above all the rest. Superman is not Superman because of Krypton. He is Superman because of Kansas. Because two people on a farm bothered to raise a deity to be confident and kind. It's your job to be Kansas. It is up to you to be the Kent family for the next generation. For the current generation, we turn to entertainment as a means of...
How can you use Superman? How can you use Superman's upbringing as a way to effectively talk about how other stories shouldn't be told? That doesn't seem like something Superman would be like super jazzed about.
Finding values worth embodying in our own lives. And it is time to start living them today, to be there for each other, to be a better father, a better brother, better son, better mother, sister, daughter, a better friend. You know the truth. You lived it. You got the best versions of every story worth telling in...
No, you didn't. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm done. I'm writing a comment. Dog, this video was ass. I'm not gonna write that. This video was 30 minutes of someone failing to make God damn it. To make any coherent arguments. What kids are watching Game of Thrones or The Sopranos? You end your video with essentially raise your kids right, which is an empty platitude considering that you don't even understand your own definition of goodness. I'm sure all the comments exist or believe him, right? Like, God, this was awful. Oh, Ant did this too? Wait.
Planet with Leslie Nielsen as this Captain Kirk type character.
Nosferatu is
What did he say about this too?
by this
lazy attempt at making a video. You're not even gonna watch the movie or read the comic for that matter.
Oh, so I'm sure me and Ant have the same fucking opinion on this, but this is just terrible. Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't know this person existed. Like, this is all. Ant did it yesterday. Ant is plagiarizing me. I know. Damn, dude. This is such an insane film. There's no, sorry, such an insane video. There was no coherent message at all. And also, I'm seeing Ant was watching a different film, a different video. He was watching. Oh, he watched both videos. Never mind. He did another video, but I'm not gonna watch that. But all of this real life fake wizard stuff was just lies. He's saying the live action Avatar replaces the other show. No, it doesn't. He's saying that we all got the best versions of stories. No, we didn't. There is no best version of a story, really. Objectively speaking, it's a story you resonate with the most or you like the most. There's some people who are going to think, live action Avatar is actually better than the animated one. There's some people who are going to think this animated film is worse because it's not drawn a certain way. But like, we didn't get the best versions of everything. We just got a version of something. Like, I'm not going to watch the Harry Potter show because I don't support J.K. Rowling. But for all I know, that could be the definitive version of Harry Potter, where not only does it take all of this from the books and makes it much more streamlined and goes deeper, but it also gives characters who didn't give attention more attention. Like, they could do that. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. That could be a definitive version, but it's not my version. And like, his complaints were so all over the place. You can't talk about Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Joker, and the same video where you're talking about Toy Story 5 and how children are being corrupted by amoralism. Most of your examples were films children aren't going to watch or should not be watching. And his whole beef with Supergirl, just an incorrect analysis of the entire film. I don't think he watched the movie. He must have saw it through TikTok. I don't think he watched the movie or picked up on anything thematically. Like, again, this is the problem. This is the problem we have when you have people who have no media literacy, who are all about the culture war, decide to open up their camera and turn on their microphones. The culture war is over. No, clearly it's not. Clearly it's not, because his biggest... For my vacation. Thank you. His biggest complaint was Buzz Lightyear walked down the aisle. Like, do you think, here's another thing too. Do you think a movie a child saw when they were like 8 years old is going to be the defining moment in which they set their morality and expectations? I grew up in a 2-parent household. I also watch Toy Story. I've also seen movies and TV shows where people do bad things. I watched Bad Boys when I was growing up. I've seen horror movies. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I watched movies where the bad guy is the main focus. My morality isn't built on the media I consume. My morality was built off my upbringing and internal motivators. Now, there is some media that aligns with my morals, right? Like superhero stuff, unironically, like Spider-Man, like Batman, like Superman, because they always teach you to do your best and try to do good. But because I understand that intrinsically, I can also watch a movie like I can watch The Boys and not be like, wait, what? Now my worldview is topsy-turvy. They're coming after your kids. Yeah, through the fucking Sopranos. Through Game of Thrones, yeah. That's what the 9-year-olds are really talking about. And he mentioned... Oh, that scared me. He mentioned also personalized email to win. I don't know, man. But he also mentions, like, again, they're coming after your kids. Like, sometimes they might be 13 to 15 or 16. If you're 13 years old and you watch Supergirl and now you think it's okay to go around killing people, your parents failed you, or you're a sociopath. Like, your morals are pretty set when you're like 13, 14, 15. Your understanding of things may be obviously changing, but like morals are pretty hard set. Like, if you were okay with murdering someone when you were 13, you're not going to suddenly be okay with it when you're 14 because you watched Lobo. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, what are you talking? This is like the same argument of the violent video games are coming. Video games aren't for you anymore. They're for your kids. And when they get their hands on Mortal Kombat, they're going to try to rip your spine out of your body. Because the gaming industry doesn't care about good. The gaming industry just likes evil. So they will make Mortal Kombat. They will make Street Fighter. They will make Invincible Versus. And your children who don't know any better because they didn't get to play the fucking Street Fighter 2 are going to think that it's okay to throw fireballs in the middle of the street. They're going to think it's okay to rip someone's spine out. Like, what are we talking about, dog? What are you talking about? That was such a stupid video. Oh my god. I can't believe he has over 100,000 subscribers. That was such a stupid fucking video. Jesus Christ, dude.